Earlier, I analyzed the dynamics of the neighborhood Crips set and the various gangs within the Hoovers. In this segment, we'll shift focus to the rappers affiliated with both sides, explore the confrontations these gangs have experienced over the years, and delve into specific cases in detail. Marcus Megan and Tyrell Highshaw. On March 2, 2013, around 8:20 a.m., Marcus and Tyrell entered Hoover Criminal territory. They spotted Herrera Richardson Sr. and his son Eric Jr. walking northbound on Figueroa Street. Tyrell was the driver, and Marcus was the passenger. Marcus called out, "What's up, Groov?" to Eric Sr. and Eric Jr. recognizing the word as associated with the Hoover Criminals. Marcus then reached out and fired 3 shots, hitting Richardson Sr. in the leg. Tyrell drove away northbound. Eric Jr. immediately called 911, and first responders arrived at the scene quickly. Meanwhile, a nearby motorcycle cop spotted Tyrell and Marcus speeding at 70 miles per hour in a 35 miles per hour zone and attempted to make a traffic stop. Instead, the pair led the officer on a chase. After a series of turns, Tyrell slowed down to let Marcus jump out and run, while he continued driving until he crashed into a fence. Tyrell tried to flee on foot but didn't get far and was taken into custody. Marcus was later found hiding in a nearby garage. Marcus Megan was charged with the attempted murder of Eric Sr. and Eric Jr., discharging a firearm, and firearm enhancements. He was sentenced to life in prison with a 15-year minimum parole eligibility. Tyrell Highshaw received a total sentence of 8 years plus a 4-year gang enhancement. In August 2015, Devon Love and Antoine Vaughn entered Hoover Criminals' turf in retaliation for a fellow Rolling 100 member who had recently been killed. They were accompanied by Timothy Boykins, another Rolling 100 member, who followed them in a separate car and recorded the events. Boykins claimed he believed they were going to the Hoovers' turf for a fight. Once they arrived, Love stopped the car, and Vaughn approached a man sitting on the sidewalk with a woman and 2 kids. After a brief altercation, Vaughn pulled out a weapon and opened fire, shooting the man in the back as he tried to flee. Vaughn continued firing wildly, hitting the man in the head, chest, back, leg, and hand. Vaughn returned to the car, and Love drove off while Boykins followed. Surveillance cameras at a nearby intersection captured the shooting, and the victim later identified Vaughn in a lineup. Cell phone records placed Vaughn at the scene of the crime. Vaughn was charged with premeditated murder, felony firearm possession, and gang enhancements, receiving a sentence of 55 years to life. Devon Love, already a 2-strike offender, faced his 3rd strike and was sentenced to 47 years to life. Rolling 40 member Carlton Henderson. On June 28, 2014, Malisha Carter and her boyfriend, Michael Harrison, a Hoover member, were driving to drop Malisha's mother off. Malisha sat in the back seat, Michael was the driver, and her mother, Andy Yates, was the front passenger. They pulled into a liquor store parking lot where Malisha went in to make a purchase. As she returned to the car, she noticed a red Tahoe truck that she recognized as belonging to a Rolling 40 member. As Michael drove out of the parking lot and stopped at a red light, the red Tahoe pulled up beside them. The Rolling 40 member asked Michael, "Where are you from?" Michael responded, "Hoover." As the red Tahoe pulled up beside them, the tension escalated. The Rolling 40 member, upon hearing Michael's response, pulled out a weapon and opened fire. The shot struck Michael multiple times, fatally wounding him. The car was thrown into chaos as Malisha and her mother screamed, trying to shield themselves from the gunfire. The Tahoe sped off, leaving the scene before anyone could react. Emergency services were called, but despite their efforts, Michael succumbed to his injuries at the scene. Malisha and her mother were physically unharmed but left deeply traumatized by the event. The shooter was later identified as Carlton Henderson, a known Rolling 40 member. Witness testimonies, combined with surveillance footage from nearby businesses, placed Henderson at the scene of the crime. He was charged with first-degree murder, gang-related firearm enhancements, and other felonies. Henderson received a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. These cases highlight the ongoing violence between the Hoover Criminals and neighborhood Crips. The rivalries, fueled by decades of conflict, have led to countless lives lost and families devastated. These incidents are just a few examples of the broader cycle of retaliation and tragedy that continues to impact communities caught in the crossfire of gang activity. One bullet struck Annie in the hip, and another hit Malisha in the thigh. The shooting left 8 bullet holes in the car, 5 in the driver's door and 3 in the back seat. June 29th, the next day, Carlton Henderson was stopped and arrested while driving his red Tahoe on 46th Street, in Rolling 40 territory. Officers found 40 bullet casings in his car, as well as a weapon in the glove box. The gun was tested, and Henderson's fingerprints on the weapon matched those on the bullets found at the scene. Carlton Henderson was charged with 3 counts of attempted murder, premeditated murder, possession of a firearm by a felon, and shooting at an occupied vehicle. He was sentenced to 180 years to life. Deshaun Atkins, a 107 Hoover. On April 2, 2012, a member of the 107 Hoover gang was murdered, believed to have been killed by a member of the Rolling Hundreds. Mark Beasley and Deshaun Wright, 2 members of the Rolling Hundreds 10 Deuce set, stood outside on 102nd Street near Normandy when a silver sedan pulled up and blocked the driveway. Eyewitnesses from across the street heard someone yell, "Hoover," followed by gunfire. Wright was shot in his left leg, ankle, right thigh, left wrist, and back. Beasley was shot in his right middle finger. A few hours later, police spotted a silver sedan traveling at high speed. They attempted to pull it over, but the vehicle did not stop. During the pursuit, 2 guns were tossed from the car. Eventually, the sedan crashed, and Deshaun Atkins, along with another Hoover member, exited the car and fled on foot. The second Hoover member tossed another gun as he ran. The 2 guns thrown from the car matched the bullets fired on 102nd Street in Normandy, but neither weapon had fingerprints. A third gun, which was believed to have been used, was never found. Deshaun Atkins was acquitted of all charges due to a lack of evidence, the absence of credible witnesses, and the refusal of both Mark Beasley and Deshaun Wright to cooperate or testify. With no case left to pursue, Atkins walked free. Raymond Russell, Tiny H. Mack, 5'9" Hoover. At approximately 1:15 a.m. on October 16, 2011, Kevin Perry, Jonathan Rambo, and Keyshawn Corbin were standing outside an apartment building in Rolling 60s territory. A vehicle stopped in the middle of the street in front of the building, and 3 men got out. One of the men said, "Where y'all from?" addressing the group outside the building. Keyshawn Corbin, who happened to be a member of the gang responded by identifying himself. Without hesitation, one of the 3 men pulled out a firearm and began shooting. Kevin Perry was struck in the chest, while Jonathan Rambo was hit in the arm. Corbin, who attempted to flee, was shot multiple times in the back and legs before collapsing. After the shooting, the 3 attackers fled the scene in their vehicle. Surveillance cameras captured footage of the car, and witness statements described the shooters and the car's license plate. Investigators were able to trace the vehicle back to Raymond Russell, also known as Tiny H. Mack, a member of the 5'9" Hoover gang. When police arrested Russell, they found the weapon used in the shooting in the trunk of his car. Ballistics tests confirmed that the bullets fired at the scene matched the gun found in his possession. Witnesses later identified Russell as the shooter who had opened fire on Corbin and the others. Raymond Russell was charged with 3 counts of attempted murder, possession of a firearm by a felon, and gang-related enhancements. He was convicted and sentenced to 75 years to life in prison.